Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be talking about the Week 16 waiver wire targets. So, for those of you who have either made it to your fantasy football championship week, or those of you who are 1 week away, you perhaps are in a semifinal matchup this coming week as you look to try to get to your Week 17 championships. Either way, we're going to be talking about waiver wire targets at the quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end position, and also talking a little bit of defenses here and there for waiver wire, streaming targets. Other than that, that's pretty much it. We're going to go through all the prospective players that you may have available on your waivers and how I think they could be of service to you this coming week. Now, let's go ahead. Hey, everybody, how's it going? I just wanted to go ahead and mention really quickly, for those of you who missed my live stream this past weekend on Saturday and Sunday, it shouldn't really be I'd say it could be a surprise to you. I really didn't mention it. I didn't really anticipate doing it. I just woke up on Saturday and I thought to myself, well, there's Saturday football. I might as well get on, try to answer questions as much as I can, see how it went. We did a 4-hour stream while watching the Jets versus Texans game, and then watched Keamy Fairbairn carry fantasy teams to the promised land and Lamar Miller bury teams. So we did a 4-hour stream. We talked. We hung out, good amount of people were in the chat. So I just wanted to mention we're going to be doing that again this weekend. I will be having a Saturday stream let's see here. Again, we're going to have a Saturday and we're going to have a Sunday stream for Week 16. So on Saturday, we're going to go from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. I don't want to do a 4-hour stream again. I think that would literally kill me. At the end of that stream, I literally couldn't talk anymore because I talked for 4 hours straight. My throat was killing me. So I think we're going to limit it to like an hour and a half. Maybe it fills up to 2 hours. Worst case scenario. But either way, the next morning on Sunday morning, before fully lineups gets locked in, we'll go over a couple of your lineup questions for those of you who are playing this coming Sunday. From 8:30 to 9:45, I will also be taking questions. So that's again this Saturday and this Sunday for the Week 16 Fantasy Football live stream. I just wanted to make sure everybody's on the same page. So if you want to come hang out, we're going to be doing that this weekend. And that's pretty much it. Now, before I go, I wanted to thank all of you who came out this Saturday and Sunday. I did post something on Twitter, but I wanted to go over really quickly. For those of you who came out and, asked questions, stuff like that, much appreciated. Much love with the support I got. But for those of you who dropped a donation, I wanted to go out and personally call you guys out and thank you personally to my big bro Christian, number one, Soy Sauce, Willie Cheney, David Garcia, Ben Cobbett, Richard Aguero, Brandon Frank, Moby1 Kenobi, Figaro, Dominique Miller, Sam Camarada, Stephen Phillips, Moby1 Kenobi again, and DJ622, and then one other person who just went by anonymous, dropped a $3 dono. I wanted to thank all of you guys. Somehow, you guys are generous enough to come out, drop a donation. Much appreciated, guys. It goes a long way. You don't even understand. That kind of money it's nothing to joke around with. So thank you very much, guys, for those of you who came out and donated. And for those of you who continue to come out, donations are not, they're not needed, right? But if you feel generous enough, you're feeling in the Christmas spirit, I'm willing to take it either way. Thank you for those of you who came out. And hopefully we'll see you guys this Sunday and Saturday. Either way, let's go ahead and move on. Let's talk about the waiver wire targets for this coming week, shall we? All right, again, Saturday. Yeah, okay. Let's go ahead. Come on. All right, here we are. Okay, so now that we're to the meat and potatoes of this video, let's talk about the running back position and the waiver wire targets that are going to be available for this coming week. So, as of right now, if in fact, okay, I'm going to throw out a couple names. Obviously, number one's Damien Williams. If in fact he is not available, I wouldn't be surprised. Damien Williams is the running back for the Kansas City Chiefs. He came out this past week, had 27 plus in half-point PPR scoring formats. He was an absolute monster because of the fact that Spencer Ware was down. Now, if Spencer Ware is to perhaps be injured again this week, Damien Williams is going to step up, play. I think he plays against the Seattle Seahawks this week. Had himself a fantastic showing, and to be honest, I think he's still going to have value whether or not Spencer Ware is back. they're going to probably use a committee, and he looked good enough to probably get himself some more reps. So if he's available in your league, definitely pick him up. Moving on to number 2, Jamaal Williams. Now, Jamaal Williams is the backup running back for the Green Bay Packers. Now, why am I mentioning him? Well, Aaron Jones if I'm not mistaken, in the first quarter of the game, just about 10 minutes into the game, injured with an apparent knee injury. I think it was an MCL sprain. We know, players have been plagued with that all season long. Usually it's a 4-week comeback scenario kind of thing to it's the same kind of injury that Melvin Gordon is currently working through. So chances are we will no longer see Aaron Jones for the rest of the season because the Packers are eliminated. So I don't think they're going to force him back. But Jamaal Williams will be taking a majority of the touches and carries, in which he can have a lot of fantasy value this coming week playing against the Jets defense. So for those of you looking for a running back to fill in, Jamaal Williams is a good pickup for this coming week. Moving on to number 3, we have Kalen Ballage. Now, this was more of a surprise situation that developed for the Miami Dolphins. I had mentioned Kalen Ballage way back in the preseason when I was talking rookie running backs. I mentioned Kalen Ballage a couple times here and there, but goodness gracious, he hadn't done anything all season long with Frank Gore and Kenyon Drake being the 1 and 2 running back of this team. As soon as Frank Gore went down this past Sunday against the Vikings, Kalen Ballage stepped in, had 125 plus rushing yards, a rushing touchdown, a 75-yard rushing touchdown, in fact. And you know what Kenyon Drake did? Absolutely nothing. Kenyon Drake had 1 carry this past Sunday, and Kalen Ballage, the rookie, came in, took a bunch of carries, and to be honest, if Frank Gore is to be missing the rest of the season, which it looks like he's going to be, Kalen Ballage, there's a potential that he can continue to see some work after that performance this past week. I know it's a tougher matchup against the Jaguars, but for those of you in thinner leagues, it's not a bad idea. So I just want to throw his name out there. Number 4, Elijah McGuire. I mentioned him last week. I'll mention him again. Even though he didn't end up having a fantastic week, he was playing against the Texans defense, and that is a tough matchup in itself, but he was able to get that touchdown. He was able to get himself, about 12 points in half-point PPR scoring formats, which is good. You get double-digit points. That's what you want in a flex kind of play. So if any of you do have him available in your waiver wires, he's not a bad pickup going forward. Isaiah Crowell probably still not healthy enough to play, and I think they want to continue with Elijah McGuire going forward this season. So he's my number 4th suggestion I wanted to go out and talk about. Number 5, Zach Zenner. Again, a guy I mentioned last week, a guy that I said, guys, if you're looking for a deeper flex, Zach Zenner is not a bad opportunity because he's continuing to see carries. Kerryon Johnson's not coming back this season. LeGarrette Blount has kind of fallen to the wayside within that rotation. This past week, Zach Zenner, 10-plus carries, about 45 rushing yards and a touchdown. He's a good flex play, got himself, 10 fantasy points. And to be honest, going forward, I understand it may be tough to play him, but for those of you who are desperate enough and are thin at the running back position, he's not a bad play. These past 2 weeks has had rushing touchdowns, has had 10-plus fantasy points in the last 2 weeks. So do with it as you may. The number 6 running back suggestion I wanted to make, it has to do with Alfred Blue or Deonta Foreman of the Houston Texans. As I mentioned a little bit before, Lamar Miller did sustain an injury to his ankle, did not play after he sustained the injury this past Saturday. And to be honest, his health is in question going into this coming week. This is a playoff-bound team, and they're trying to honestly get a first-round bye. Currently, they are the number 2 seed in the AFC. They need to continue to pick up wins in order to sustain and have that first-round bye over the Patriots. So as of right now, they're going to try to continue to win. Now, how do they go about doing that? They need to make sure that their run game is working. So whether Deonta Foreman is taking off the PUP, which is the physically unable to perform list, if he's taken off that and brought onto the active roster, and Alfred Blue and him start to split carries, personally, I'd rather have Foreman. But as of right now, if Foreman is not taken off that list, we're going to go with Alfred Blue as the next benefactor within that backfield. So for those of you looking for somebody to pick up, that's not a bad idea. And other names that came to mind, Todd Gurley sustained an injury last night. According to Sean McVay, a little bit of knee inflammation, day to day. If I'm not mistaken, his backup is Johjn Kelly. So for those of you looking to, if you're a Gurley owner, or perhaps you're not a Gurley owner and you're trying to acquire some value within that backfield potentially, you can go pick up, let me go make sure this is Johjn Kelly, because a couple weeks ago I messed up and was suggesting another running back that had broken his collarbone. Let me go ahead and find Mr. Johjn Kelly here so I can. Now some of you are screaming at the screen, yes, Andrew, it's Johjn Kelly, don't worry about blah blah. Yeah, it is Johjn Kelly. All right, we're square. So for those of you, they play against the Cardinals this next week. The Cardinals are terrible against the running back position. So if Gurley doesn't play, Johjn Kelly could see a lot of snaps and can see a lot of value potentially within that offense. So, and we've seen Goff been struggling in the last couple of weeks. They want to take the ball out of his hands as much as they possibly can. So, I think Kelly could be a good pickup. Other than that, we saw like the Eagles come out and have a plethora of running backs pick up value. We saw Adams get injured, but hey, there's a potential that either Darren Sproles or Wendell Smallwood, who had 10 rushes for 50 some odd yards, or was it mid 40 yards, but 2 rushing touchdowns. Wendell Smallwood, not a bad pickup if he's available. We know Corey Clement is out for the season, so there's not really much of a rotation. If Josh Adams, maintains to be injured, we know Sproles' health is nothing that we can depend upon. So Wendell Smallwood's not a bad option. A couple names here and there. I just wanted to throw those out for you guys just to kind of give you that option. Other than that, that's pretty much it at the running back position. Let me see if there's anybody else that comes to mind, to be honest, because I thought this past week, yes, there was a lot of guys that didn't perform, but there was just as many guys that came out of nowhere and played games of their lives and could potentially going forward carve out a role within their respective teams. Let's see. There's no way Derrick Henry's available in your leagues. If he's available in your leagues, you guys did not listen to anything that I said this past week. Okay? I don't care. If he's available, you are making some big mistakes. Looking around, maybe you should. Oh, yeah, for sure. I know some of you are going to ask. Jaylen Samuels and Justin Jackson should stay rostered. Okay? We are not confirming whether or not there's no confirmation whether or not James Conner and or Melvin Gordon are going to play this week. So as of right now, they need to stay rostered. And coming off of both of them having great performances, they need to continue to stay close to your starting lineup, because if in fact those two guys don't come back, they're going to continue to have some sustained value going forward. And that's pretty much it. Latavius Murray had a lot of carries. So for those of you who own Dalvin Cook, again, as I mentioned last week, he's a good handcuff to pick up. Anyway, that's pretty much it at the running back position. Kind of jumping around a little bit, I know. But I just wanted to cover all of our bases, try to answer questions before they're pretty much thrown at me. Okay, here we go. Moving on to the wide receiver position for this coming week. Goodness gracious, did I eat my words. A lot of people on Saturday's stream, before the stream started, asked, Andrew, Robby Anderson, is he going to be able to, should I start him? Is he going to be able to have a good fantasy week? And I thought to myself, there's no way. I know Robby Anderson scored a touchdown the week prior, but that was in, the end of the game, garbage time. There's no way that Robby Anderson, no. Robby Anderson stuck it to me. He let me know, hey, Andrew, actually, I'm a beast. And in fact, you made a huge mistake. I went for 19 plus points, and you're welcome. And I'm like, okay, well, Robby Anderson, congratulations. You are my number one waiver wire acquisition for this coming week at the wide receiver position. So for those of you considering it, he continues to see a high amount of targets compared to the other wide receivers within this team, which really there isn't many other wide receivers on this team. So as of right now, Robby Anderson is the way to go. As if you're in need of a wide receiver and he's available in your league. Moving on to number 2, Dante Pettis. Been mentioning him for the last 4 weeks. Guys, if he's not rostered already, please get him in your lineups at a flex, maybe wide receiver 3 spot. He's been pretty good in the last couple weeks. He continues to find himself some value. Nick Mullens is not as bad as you guys may think. The 49ers beat the Seahawks yesterday. Who was going to guess that? Definitely not me, because goodness gracious, I did not see that coming. But I guess in division matchups, especially on the road, they're tough. The Seahawks, they had to learn the hard way yesterday. And to be honest, Pettis was a part of that offense that was able to put up enough points to beat the Seahawks. As of right now, going forward, he don't play the Seahawks this week. Damn it. Who the heck? No, they play. Who did they play this week? The 49ers. Goodness, I think it's a tougher defense. I think they play the Bears. Yep, they played the Bears. That's not bad. I mean, it could be worse. I mean, that's pretty bad. So, yeah, they play the Bears this week. Mistakes were made. All right, moving on to number 3, Mike Williams. If, in fact, Keenan Allen is not healthy, he is still in concussion protocol. Mike Williams, Tyrell Williams, one of those two. But Mike Williams this past week against the Chiefs, he proved why he is, he was a former first-round pick last season and why he needs more touches. He needs to get the ball in his direction more from Phillip Rivers and why, he has the potential to being a number 1 wide receiver on this team. I understand Keenan Allen is way better than him, but if Keenan Allen is not available and he's not healthy, I'm sure Mike Williams will be able to step up for them. Yes, they play against the Ravens, but speaking of the Ravens, Mike Evans played against them yesterday and went for 120-plus receiving yards on 4 receptions. So you never know. Kind of the same body type, kind of the same receiver, to be honest. Either way, Mike Williams, if he's available and you're looking for a wide receiver, here's the caveat, and Keenan Allen is somewhat injured, he's not a bad play. All right, moving on to number 4, Robert Foster. I mentioned him last week, a guy that can take the top off the defense, a guy that prior to this past week has had, 3 out of the last 4 games of 10-plus points in half-point PPR scoring formats, a guy that was just racking up points. And I told you guys he was going to have another opportunity this coming week against the corners of the Lions, the guys that just run man defense. If you can't cover a speedster like Robert Foster, you can't respect that speed, he's going to take top off defense. It's exactly what he did. Ended up finding the end zone, had about 16 fantasy points in half-point PPR scoring formats. So he was a great play. And playing against the Patriots, I think there's a potential that the Bills give them some trouble this week, and the Patriots need a big win. So we'll see where this goes, but I expect this to be a little bit more competitive than the last time these two teams played. Robert Foster's not a bad pickup. Moving on to number 5. This kind of has to do with all the Broncos wide receivers, whether it's Tim Patrick or not all the Broncos wide receivers. Actually, yeah, let's talk about all of them. Let's talk about Tim Patrick, okay, who's on the screen. Let's talk about Deshaun Hamilton, and let's talk about Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton, as of right now, seems to be the guy that they want to throw the ball down the field for big plays to. Okay, he's a bigger target. He can get off the floor, and potentially, hopefully, he can catch a ball. But as of right now, hasn't been able to do much. Okay, Deshaun Hamilton, he's just as good as Tim Patrick. They're pretty much at the same value as of right now. They both get a good amount of targets. Coming off of Emmanuel Sanders tearing his Achilles, this has presented a lot of value to these two guys, and potentially they can work themselves in to having more value as the season progresses. But the issue is Case Keenum really can't be trusted. So you really have to risk it. I would say it's really a risk. I know they're playing against the Raiders this week, but it's a risk to play a wide receiver with the Case Keenum-led offense, especially with now that the Broncos, they're 6-8, they're not making the playoffs. They're done. I thought they'd win out, but they can't even beat the Browns, and they can't beat the 49ers. 49ers come on, 2-game win streak. Browns picking up another win. So as of right now, Tim Patrick, Deshaun Hamilton, not bad pickups, just like last week. Moving on, number 6, Jordy Nelson. Speaking of the Raiders, Jordy Nelson's figuring it out. He's trying to get some. He's trying to make extra money. There's NFL bonuses or incentives if you get over a specific cap of yards, or if you hit a specific stat line throughout the season, like over 800 yards, and you get an extra $10,000. They do stuff like that, but I'm sure the numbers are a little different, as in cash. But Jordy Nelson's been looking good as of late. Playing against the Broncos is a tougher matchup, but you never know. He really just he doesn't really care. He's sitting in the slot. He's finding himself some value, and if you're really desperate enough, go for it. A lot of these guys, they're desperate plays. Dede Westbrook, another guy, he had himself a punt return. Saved his week, but I'm sure Cody Kessler can't be that bad. Again, now if he is, I'm not going to be surprised. Cody Kessler had 50 passing yards. I mean, goodness gracious, get Bortles back in there. I'm sure Bortles will at least throw 4 picks, but then have 300 passing yards, because of the garbage time Bortles, Either way, those are the wide receiver suggestions. Any other names that I wanted to mention? Is there any wide receivers that had big injuries? I know DeAndre Hopkins messed up his ankle. Doug Baldwin had a big comeback week this week, which was really surprising after just not really being healthy. Looking at all the names, dude, Justin Hardy, okay? Justin Hardy, 2 weeks in a row, 2 touchdowns. How about that? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Nothing really much else at the wide receiver position going forward. And yeah, all right, let's go talk about quarterback, shall we? Now, if you're in need of a quarterback and Josh Allen's available, by all means, he needs to be picked up and rostered. Josh Allen, that is what, the 4th week in a row of consistent play? Goodness, I mean, if that doesn't completely scream out, I am dependable, I am going to win you a championship, then, I don't know what to tell you. Josh Allen should be, if you are in need of a quarterback, he should be on your team ASAP if he's available. I'm assuming he's not, but I just wanted to go ahead and mention that. Number 2, Baker Mayfield playing against the Bengals this week. Sorry, Josh Allen doesn't play the Lions this week. That was last week. Look, this is what happens when I leave these guys up here. I mentioned them last week, and I'm mentioning them again. I forget to change their damn matchup. Josh Allen plays the Patriots, so potentially could have value there. Baker Mayfield, now he does play the Bengals this week. Last time he played the Bengals, had 4 passing touchdowns. Why? Because he wanted to get after Hugh Jackson. This might be another revenge game. Baker Mayfield might come out, have himself a good game. He did it a couple weeks back, so I think they had about 35 points in the first half. That was like a franchise record. Let's do it again, Baker. Let's do it again. Another rookie quarterback. Look at that, 3 rookie quarterbacks. Actually, in fact, this is going to be 4 rookie quarterbacks in a row. Unless Nick Mullens is I'm pretty sure he's a rookie. Yeah, he's just undrafted. Sam Darnold's number 3, playing against the Packers, man. Sam Darnold's actually, for how bad he looks, he somehow manages to be good. I don't know how. I don't know how to explain it. But he does some, he gyrates in the pocket, tries to find himself some open space and throws it off his back foot, and it somehow ends up in the receiver's hands, dude. This guy just somehow manages to make plays. And if you're really desperate, if you're in a 2 QB league, if you're struggling and you're on your last legs, maybe you can go. I mean, not maybe. You can go with Sam Darnold, but I doubt you'll need to risk it that hard. Again, number 4. I mean, these are guys that I doubt you're going to need. If you're in a championship game, you've got your quarterbacks. You don't got to worry about it. Number 4, Nick Mullens. Damn it, man. I left the Seahawks up here. They played the Seahawks last week. This is what happens, guys. I'm telling you. They play against the Bears. It's going to be a tough matchup, but you never know about them garbage time points. There's always a potential. And the last guys I wanted to mention, Nick Foles. The Eagles, man. The Eagles somehow, when Nick Foles is at quarterback, they huddle up and they say, we need to, as a defense, as wide receiver core, offensive line, running backs, special teams, coaching. We all need to step our game up in order to lift this guy up. And my goodness, they do it every time. They played amazing last night against the Rams. Could improve here and there in some spots, but all in all, they looked good. Nick Foles against the Texans, not a bad matchup, especially what Darnold did to them last week. There's a potential. All right, let's move on to the tight end position. The tight end position that's really just not great. Evan Engram, again, if he's available, guys, he needs to be picked up. He's continuing to be successful while OBJ has been out. Number 2, Ian Thomas. Really, I've just left him up there. I have no idea the results of the Saints versus Panthers game as of right now, but I'm assuming he's going to be decent. I'm assuming he's going to get his target, so we'll see where that goes. Number 3, Blake Jarwin. Another week in a row. Blake Jarwin was the leading receiver on the Cowboys this past week. The Cowboys that didn't score a single point. Yeah, Blake Jarwin was the leading receiver. Playing against the Bucs this week, they gave up a bunch of points to the tight end position. So Blake Jarwin, if you're in real, desperate need of a tight end, he's not a bad pickup, guys. Number 4, Antonio Gates somehow came out this past week and it looked pretty good. Antonio Gates, old man Gates, found himself some fantasy value on that Thursday night matchup. And, it's better than a lot of the other tight ends. Dude had 7 points, and he was a top 10 tight end, if you can imagine that. 4 catches for 54 yards, pretty good game. The last quarterback I wanted to mention, Gerald Everett. Everett, not a bad game himself either. Pretty much the same thing as Antonio Gates. They came on late, had a couple clutch catches here and there. He was pretty much used primarily in the 2-minute game where it just throw to the sideline. Everett was the main contributor in that, but he continues to find value on a weekly basis, and it's not bad, to be honest. So if you're really desperate at the tight end position, Gerald Everett, my last suggestion. All right, moving on to the defenses. This is a little bit shorter of a video. It's not a shorter video. I'm just not going into detail as much because, let's be honest. If you're in the championship game, you really don't need that much help, right? Let's say, for example, you're in a championship game, though. You lost Aaron Jones, and, for example, you're worried about Adam Thielen. Okay, great. You pick up Jamaal Williams, and then you pick up Robby Anderson. You're square. Done. So we don't need to go that much further into this. Moving on. Okay, so Tennessee Titans. I told you guys. This last week, I even told you, because of the fact that OBJ is gone, these corners don't have to respect any of the other receivers on that team. They're going to fill the box. They're going to give hell to Eli Manning, which is going to, in turn, make Saquon Barkley's life that much difficult, that much harder. And that's what happened, man. Tennessee Titans, they took the air out of the ball. They gave it to Derrick Henry, which I told you was going to happen. The Giants have been giving up 100-yard rushers in the last, 8 weeks? A bunch of times. Like 7 of the last 8 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. And they did it to Derrick Henry. They basically gave the Giants no opportunity to have the ball. And that's exactly what I honestly expect to happen against the Redskins on Saturday. They're going to give hell to the Redskins offense. That line's torn apart. Josh Johnson's at quarterback. That offense is just depleted because of injuries. Tennessee Titans are going to get after it. And to be honest, I think if you have the Tennessee Titans in your championship game, they can win you a championship. I'm not even playing. 15-plus points is a guarantee at this point. Moving on, Indianapolis Colts playing against the Giants. Another team playing against the Giants. Man, what the Indianapolis Colts did this past week against the Cowboys, impressive. They stopped the run. They stopped Cooper in the passing game, and they caused turnovers. So to be honest, Indianapolis Colts against the Giants could be another good game. All they have to do, right? They watch the Tennessee Titans film. They say, hey, that's exactly what we're going to do. If Odell Beckham's not healthy, if he's healthy, great, whatever. We're going to give hell to Eli Manning. We're going to make him uncomfortable, and we're going to make sure we smother Saquon. And I think they're going to be able to do that. So Colts are another good defensive pickup. I don't think the Rams are available, but if in fact they are, they play against the Cardinals. And by all means, the Cardinals, they're going to give up points. We saw the Atlanta Falcons this past week, who I jumped back and forth on. At the end, I was like, they're a bad defense. They might get torched. Hey, they killed the Cardinals. I mean, in the first 10 minutes of the game, pick 6. I mean, that's incredible, right? So if the Rams are available somehow, or if they're on your team and you're considering Titans or Rams, Rams are not a bad play either. Josh Rosen's been struggling. He got hurt. Mike Glennon was in the game. Man, imagine Aaron Donald getting after Mike Glennon. That would be free points right there. And the last defense I wanted to mention, the Denver Broncos playing against the Raiders. To be honest, this is kind of a desperate play, but I looked at all the other defenses and I thought to myself, who else could potentially be available and could have good value? There really wasn't much. I thought to myself, there's no way the Ravens defense is available. There's no way that the Saints are available in your league. There's no, those. Who else? The Texans. There's no way they are available. So I thought to myself, well, I'm just gonna throw out the Broncos if they're available. They play against Derek Carr. They could give him hell, and they could make his life that much harder. So that's just my throw out. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I mean, off the top of my head, we've been going for about 30 minutes. Yeah, that's pretty good. If you have any questions, for sure, hit me up. I'll try to get to you before Thursday. Either way, I mean, I don't expect many of you. I mean, listen, if there's a lot of you in the fantasy championships, holy moly, that would be fantastic. Okay, that's the goal, right? If I can't win a championship this year, if I lose next week at least if I lose right now, okay, I'm in a game right now. If I lose right now and I can't get to the championship, and if I lose next week in the championship, we're gonna have problems, right? But if at least you guys can win. In turn, that gives me joy because at least I contributed to a championship team. It's the sum of the parts are greater than the whole or something like that, right? No, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Thank you. There you go. Either way, thank you everybody for watching. It's Monday. I'm tired already, and I want this week to end so we can get to Christmas. Either way, again, Saturday stream, Sunday stream, be there. If not, no problem. I will post them after I'm done streaming. So if you want to catch up, watch them, no problem. That's pretty much it. So if you have any questions, hit me up, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. We're going to go over running back rankings. So see you guys.